Hey, good morning. It is Tuesday if you're watching this live, and I am in Orlando, Florida. Yes, I was just here a couple weeks ago. I'm back and loving it down here as well. Even the humidity isn't so bad yet down here. I'm getting to spend the week working with some of my favorite people, working on a training path, a coaching path of media to movements. I'm here on the campus of Pioneers in one of their rooms here, and I'm thankful to them for allowing me to be down here and to work with this great team. I'm thankful as well today for you joining us on this show. I am thankful to GMPI for allowing me to be able to spend the time researching and working on this and to do the software. And it is their hope, it is Pioneer's hope, it is our Media to Movement hope, it is my team at Kavanaugh Media, our hope that we can help you leverage media and technology to find those people that the Holy Spirit is working on, to find those seekers in your context. Now, the purpose of this show, if this is your first time watching us, and I know that actually more people watch this later on than live, but one of the reasons why I like to do it live is to be able to answer the questions that one person has, because I think there's probably others who have it. In fact, there's probably 10 to 20 at least emails I get every week from people just saying, hey, what do you think about this? What's your thoughts on this? And we love to help people to be able to do that. We're a business's mission, so we partner with a lot of teams. And we're working in over 70 different countries, about 160 now ad accounts that we are helping manage and run. But here's the thing. In all of those, this show and our desire is for those of you who maybe you're just a small team. Maybe there's just 2 or 3 of you. Maybe you're a small church and you don't have huge budgets, but you've heard about or you're interested in this idea of leveraging social media, different types of media to find seekers, to reach out, to generate awareness. Well, I hope that this show is going to help you. So thanks so much for being a part of it. My name is John, and we're going to spend some time together today to walk through questions that I have been receiving. Now, as I go through it, if you have any questions yourself that you want us to try to address on this show, you can even send those in the comments. And so if you're watching on Facebook or wherever else, you want to give us a thumbs up or you want to make a comment or whatever else, be nice, okay? But if you want to do that, feel free to do that, and it'll show up here, and we'll try to answer those on this show as well. This is like episode 12 of this one. The podcast that we have that comes out each week, we're getting close to episode 100. There's over 4,000 people watching that show each week, which is crazy to me. And I'm appreciative of this one as well, of the new audience of people who are watching and joining us on here. And so I want to just try to help you today. If you haven't watched it, all of these shows are recorded. So they're over on our Kavanaugh Media site. But we've gone through Facebook ads, how to set them up. We've looked at Google ads a little bit. We've looked at Instagram. There's a lot of different things so far that we've touched, at least at the surface level. But today, I want to dive into some specific questions that have been showing up. All right, and so if you have some more as we're going along, feel free to throw those into the comment section. And you can be a part of that. We'll try to help you on it. Now, here's the very first question that we're going to get here today. All right, and so this one itself, in essence, I want to actually just go to this next screen because it was an email I got, and this is what it says. We have a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and a website, as well as several digital responders. So great job. We have a video containing culturally appropriate gospel presentation that the Holy Spirit has used in face-to-face conversations. What we would like to happen is for people to watch the whole video and chat with us about it. We are praying that people will hear the gospel and believe, and we want to talk to any folks who do or who hear and want to know more. Could you give us some advice on what type of Facebook ad objective we could use to try to get those goals? And our target group is a specific people group who are refugees. And the maximum number of them we can reach with Facebook interest-based advertising is about 30,000. Of that group, we don't have a big enough pool of people who have responded to our other ads that we could do retargeting on. So we'll probably just need to target the whole 30,000 for our audience. The 3 types of ads I am considering are video views, traffic to website, traffic to Messenger. And this team's located in Europe, so they can't use normal messaging types of ads because of some privacy things that are limiting ads there in Europe. And so they ask, what would you do in this situation? Well, I reached out to this team and asked them, made sure that they were okay with this, that I wanted to address it on the show today. Basically, there's 3 types then of ads that they're trying to do. So think through this yourself. We're going to cover a lot of information today. This show may even be a few minutes longer than normal because there's a lot I want to try to unpack and walk through with you. But for this team here, if you have a video, then the first question I actually wrote them back and just asked them was, how long is the video itself? And it's almost 5 minutes of length. Now, Facebook will tell you, put long videos on there and you'll do better. The truth is, I don't think they're right. In fact, I think most people don't go on Facebook looking to watch long videos. Facebook Live might be different. In fact, I hope it is if that's where you're watching this show. But most people are on Facebook because they're just looking for other things. Pictures of cats, groups that they're a part of, family members, updates, things like that. So they're not going on there to watch a whole 30-minute long show. But YouTube is. That's a place where people go. In fact, YouTube is the number 2 largest search engine in the world. So if you want to run Facebook ads, what I would recommend to you, and you told me you were going to watch the show today, so I'm talking to you right now. I'm not going to use your name or your location, but this is what I would do. There's a couple of those things that you've laid out as far as objectives, and you're thinking really well on this. When you start looking at your objective, the algorithm on Facebook will do what the objective is that you put. All right, but you can only pick one objective, and it cannot read your mind. So if you're watching this and you think, Facebook's reading our minds and they're listening in with the microphone, no, they're not. Okay, there's some things that they do to get a better idea, and that's what we leverage in our ads to put the right message in front of the right person, but they're not listening in. So your government might be, but Facebook isn't, all right? So what would we do here on this one? If you do video views as your objective, then you will get a lot of people who potentially will watch at least a portion of that video. But and that may be good if it's the top level, but I'm a little worried if your video is almost 5 minutes long. That seems like that would be a better video to put on your website as a landing page video, and then to actually put some other links on it to watch other videos. Yes, you will get less people potentially, but the quality of those going may be higher. Usually, I'm looking for 1 to 2% response rate from a person to see an ad to click to go to a website. And then there, you'll get another 1 to 2%. And we're going to talk about website, the landing pages, and a lot of stuff today. So even though I may end one question, it's going to keep coming back up as we go through some of this material. All right. And so traffic to Messenger in Europe is something right now that we're still trying to figure out. What I will tell you is that if you use that, you won't get the metrics in your ads manager. It won't show up. It'll just show as a 0. So you're going to have to rely on your digital responders to tell you when you're getting these messages if you were to do that. I don't like leading with Messenger. I know a lot of people do use it a lot, but I think we need to really slow things down and to break it into small steps. Let me show you some stuff here about what I'm talking about when I start talking about the algorithm. Here's an account that we are helping run. We just came on board with this team. We just started running ads for them, but this other one was one that they had going before we came on board. And when you look at their objective, this is what they put for their objective: event responses. And they didn't get a lot, but this one is for link clicks. So when you look through here, I want you to notice that the reach is already different. This is the same audience, but because we choose a traffic objective, we reached more people, which means more individuals saw the ad. Now, the frequency was fine on both of them, but look at the cost right now. It's costing us 1 penny to get someone to click to go to the website. Now, there is a difference here between link click and landing page. Okay, and so a landing page means they've clicked on the link and they waited long enough for the page to load for the pixel to fire. A link click will just mean that they clicked on the link. And so your link clicks will always be higher than your landing page views. Right? That it will always be that way. Don't be alarmed by that. But this is just what happens when you choose a different objective in your algorithm. And so the ad's been shown more. The cost for impressions is cheaper. The link clicks here, a lot more of them. And then look at the link click-through rate. We're getting a 5.87% link click-through. So almost 6% of the people that are seeing this ad are clicking on it to go to a landing page. And we're going to talk about landing pages here in a little bit more about them. But it's really important when you're doing it to check out what that link click-through is. Here's another example. Here's landing page views on this account right here. And this is how many people are seeing it. This is how many people as far as reach. See, here's the difference on this one. The objective was link clicks going to your website. This was to a different audience, so it's a bigger one here. But if you look at our cost, it's 1 cent. For our landing page, it's 7 cents, 9 cents. It really depends on your audience. Now, for you who sent the question in, I know you're in Europe, so the cost may be a little bit higher because there's more competition for companies and people advertising trying to reach that group. So just don't be alarmed at what somebody else is paying for their ads. Don't get caught up going, well, this group had 1,000 messages or whatever. Focus on yours, and what I would say is use this traffic one to get to your objective. So when I look through here on this one, I can see how many link clicks are happening. I can see how many people are going through, and that is a big help for us. Right? So when we are looking at these ads for your specific question here, I would do traffic to the website, and then I'm going to show you some landing page examples here in a second because it's another question that came up. But I would encourage you to take a small part of your 5-minute video and use it in the ad. In fact, I would say don't answer the questions that you're putting in the video. Create some tension in that and then drive traffic. Or run an A/B test. So you could run video views and run that for the full 5-minute one and see what happens. And then try again with the traffic. Even though your audience is 30,000, you could change up the wording a little bit and you could run the same basic video, maybe an excerpt for one to the website where the whole video is at, and then maybe you could split it with another one where it's going with just video views. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to work well and work best. And so that's why you have to be consistent and be running multiple ads. Just don't be changing things too much. Have one variable. So for this one, it would be your objective. All right, so I hope that helps you a little bit to get started. But if it was me and I was just getting started, I'd probably do the traffic to website right now in your situation. All right, here's another question that came up. Hi, John. Thanks for the trainings. Appreciated. Thank you for sending the message as well. A couple of questions that come to mind. If I filter or target with the word Jesus and Bible, does that mean that it will find people who have liked something regarding Jesus and Bible, or people who have in any way looked at, engaged with content that includes Jesus and Bible? Do I not basically reach out to those who are already Christians? And then he writes the second question, if you write Jesus and Bible in English, but the target country is, let's say, Arabic, will Facebook translate those words accordingly? All right, great questions that you're asking here. All right, and so let's look at each one of those questions. First one, Jesus and Bible. Well, the reason why I like to use Jesus and Bible is that I tend to want to work where the gospel is not firmly rooted yet, where there's not a lot of churches, where the unreached are, where there are people groups who have never heard the name of Jesus, where potentially there are no churches within hundreds of miles for people to go to. Now, if you're working in a diaspora context, in a more, say, the United States or in Europe, that could be different. But the key here is that when you use Jesus and Bible, it does not mean that they've liked Jesus and Bible. It just means that they've engaged with some content They've paused, they've clicked on, they've commented, they've done something with content that relates to that theme or that subject. So when you do an audience insights and you put in your city and you say, let's say for example, London, and all of a sudden it says there's 10 million people that have, Jesus or Bible responding to it, right? And it's an or statement, Jesus or Bible. So it makes your audience bigger. It does not mean there's 10 million people that like Jesus or the Bible. It just means they've engaged with it. So it could mean that half of them are against Jesus or the Bible. They've been looking at articles saying why he's not the Messiah or whatever. But what it does tell me is that they are spiritually engaging. Whether it's positive or negative, that subject itself is something that they have engaged with. And I really like that. See, I've done some work with some accounts where there's been people who they drive all sorts of traffic to their sites, and they'll even say, we've had 10,000 people come to our website this page, but then I looked at their ads and it was just basically saying free videos, and it didn't say anything about Jesus. There was nothing Christian about it. And so if you're concerned about vanity metrics, well then okay, do that method. But I'm not. I want to find the people who the Holy Spirit's working on. And I hope that's what you are about as well. And so it's okay for our ads to be Christian, to introduce Jesus into it. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a little bit. I will be. But when you're doing this is putting out these ads in front of people who they've done something. Maybe it's positive, maybe it's negative. But this is where now your copy and your headline, these things can really help you filter to find those people. It's kind of like triage. Right? And so there's certain things you can do if a mass casualty takes place where you can help the people that if you do something right now, you may be able to help them. So that filtering is really important to find these true seekers, these potential people of peace. And so don't get caught up with the numbers per se, but do know that they have done something with it. And are you reaching basically those who are already Christians? Well, it could be, depending on what country you're working in. But I also use language targeting and geographic targeting a lot. This is especially true in North America and Europe, where I'm trying to really find a very small audience. And when I do that, I'll use language, I'll use geographic targeting, and then maybe Jesus or Bible or other specific types of detailed targeting. To your second question, yes, if you put it in English, it is going to translate that, say in Arabic or in Mandarin or whatever, to the corresponding word that they will use there. If you're doing Google ads, it does not work that way, and you have to type and search and use keywords in the language. You need to put those into that. But Facebook does automatically translate and look for those things. Now, how well they do, maybe that depends upon what location and what country, but that you can't put those other ones in there. So it's okay to just put Jesus or Bible. These aren't necessarily the same questions that I use long term, but when you're first getting started, at least for us at Kavanaugh Media, that's what we tend to use. All right, so I hope that helps. All right, let's keep going. Remember, if you do have any questions or comments, put them in the comment box. They'll pop up there. We'll try to help and answer those. Here's the next one. John, all right, what's an instant experience and when would I use it? All right, great question. What is an instant experience and when would I use it in my marketing? All right, I tend to use an instant experience, especially one place, is in places where people have to pay for their data. So there are certain countries where if you're on Facebook, you don't have to pay for the data on your mobile phone. But if you go off of Facebook, you have to start paying. So you have a video on your website, and all of a sudden they're paying for that data. And so if you're working in a place like that, that's one place I would use it. The second place that I would use it is more and more in places where I don't feel like the pixel is working as well. Maybe it's being blocked. Maybe they're using browsers or things that are stopping it. So let me give you an example of what it is, and then you can think of some ideas about how to use it. All right, so let's jump over here. I'm going to jump to my computer screen again, and we're going to jump to this screen. This is an instant experience. And in this one right here, now you can see that we have this screen. I've already jumped ahead so I can kind of protect what people are seeing here. But this is when I've created an ad right now. We're in the ad, all right? And then in this ad, here's the screen right here where it says add an instant experience. Add an instant experience, all right? And so where do we, right here, full screen mobile experience, add an instant experience. So right now I'm creating just a junk ad, an example ad. But if I want to create an instant experience, I'm going to click on that. And now new things are coming up. And it's saying, well, you haven't picked an instant experience. Basically, an instant experience, in my mind, I use it like a pre-landing page. So it is more content, more video, more words, more links that people can click on, say to the Bible, to download it or whatever, but it's still on Facebook. It's not on a different website. So when you click on that instant experience, it'll ask you for what type of template would you like to use. And understand that these are more of a business mindset, but customer acquisition, storytelling, selling products, or you can build your own. All right, let me give you just one here for the sake of time. We'll click on customer acquisition. This is what it looks like over here on the side. And so we can put different things in. We could put a different image in here. We can add text in here. All right, let me just delete that. I would never type this, but in real life. But we're gonna put something like a headline in there. We could put something down here. Hi to all my friends in Florida. Once again, I'm just putting stuff on here, okay? But this shows up then on this instant experience. So you could put a video. So this is where you could use that longer video. Okay, so you could put the longer one here if you wanted. You could put different video pieces here. You could put different pictures. This is the idea where you could put different types of like carousel type of ads or pictures here. And so you would just pick those different ones, different images that you could use. You can have a URL that people could click on. And so they could click on that, which would then take them to your regular website or to some other piece of content. And then when you're done creating that, now you have this instant experience. So think of it as a pre-landing page. What's great about it is that because they're still on Facebook, the pixel's not being blocked. That's considered first person. And so it's kind of another way to use it to do retargeting. So at this point then, we would just create the regular ad. So we would put in a video, like this one is how to install the Facebook Pixel, and then we would put some text in there, and then we would put a page in it, and we would make sure our Pixel is firing, and then we would hit this green publish button. And if we did that, this would be a terrible ad. So we're not going to do that on this one. But that's what an instant experience is, and I really, really like them. And I'm starting to use them even more. All right, so an instant experience, that's a great thing to use. It's something for you to try out, and it's something especially if people are paying for their data that you may want to try, or if you're finding that your numbers for retargeting have dropped significantly, then you might want to try this and build a custom audience. I'm going to show you how to do that even today. All right, so that's hopefully will help you on understanding what is an instant experience. All right, here's another one. Phil sent this to me and he says, I'm running Google Ads to a landing page with the call to action for Facebook Messenger messages. What tips do you have to increase conversations on Facebook Messenger? All right, so Phil, thanks for your question. I know Phil. We were actually talking about this one. He's using a specific language. He's had it translated, and the material is from Jesus Film, if I remember correctly, to his page. And then he says, hey, well, it's not converting well, so we're not getting a lot of messages. Let me set some expectations before we get going here, all right? So what you need to understand is that, and thank you, my Media to Movement friends, for your comment here. What you need to understand for any of your things from your landing page, but for media to movement types of endeavors, when you're using social media marketing, is that this is a long journey. This is a long path. This is not something that you just do a couple ads and then you're done. And this really concerns me with a lot of the teams and people that I work with, is that they need to be consistent. This needs to be the idea that this is going to take 6 months before you start seeing really maybe anything whatsoever. It could take a year depending upon where you're working at. So you need to make the commitment that this is something that your team wants to do, or your church. This is not an add-on. Like, oh, we're going to keep doing all of these things. Oh, and we're going to do this. Okay, and for Phil, I know that's not what you're doing here, but I just want to set those expectations, because it's possible that people hear training or hear things and they think, well, this is a magic bullet. This thing's awesome. We're just going to spend a couple $100 and we're going to have thousands of people who want to be saved. That's not how it's going to work. It's not how it's going to work. But I am going to tell you this. We were just running ads, Cavanaugh Media was, in the country that I used to work and live in as a church planner. We're running ads in my neighborhood, to my neighbors, to people that we struggle to learn Mandarin, that we put our kids living third culture through. But I love this country. I love it as much as I love the country I live in here, the United States. I love the people there. But in this one ad that we just ran, we had over 1,300 people that clicked on an ad that had something to do with Jesus and are getting more information about that. And that reach, that scale of that is just not something physically I could have done. And to see them and to find those who are really interested. And so yes, this whole media outreach is amazing. And I believe, honestly, even you may not have all the people to do the full thing. That's okay. That's why we exist, is to run the marketing part of it, to partner with teams so that they can go to the field and do what they went there for, learn the language and tell people about Jesus. And we just want to help you find those people. Or maybe you have the people on your team who want to learn the marketing. That's why we do these shows. That's why we have the trainings that we do, right? Is to help you be able to do that. It's not a an either or. It is whatever way you are, however God has equipped you or your team, we want to help you. But I think everybody should be a part of this. I think we have to be thinking about new ways of doing stuff. So Phil, for your question right here, first thing, understand you may not get a lot of messages at first, but over time, if you're still not, I think you need to constantly be looking at your content, all right? And so I'm going to come back here to my computer, and I want to show you a couple things here. This is the idea of landing pages, because I think where we make the mistake is that we're trying to jump too fast. We throw up an ad in front of somebody, and then we just expect them that they want to accept Christ. It's not going to happen. Or we are looking for them to send us a message. But the question is, why? Why would they want to do that? Why would they want to send you a message? What is driving them? This is the thing. We have to think about the person, the seeker, the person receiving and seeing this content, and not from what we want, from where we want them to be. This is, if you go to our Cavanaugh Media site, we have a lot of different ad resources. And I am a fan of using the Bible in video form. One of my teammates is a person I respect greatly, who has seen movements, who has his PhD in this. His first name is Frank, all right? He's a fun guy to be with. And he told me a couple years ago, and it really impacted how we do what we do. He said that they're finding, where they have a movement of people, that it was people who engaged with Scripture were the most likely people of peace. And so sometimes with our media, we can get really slick, but there's enough research showing that actually turns people off. When you start using material that you just buy off the internet, and it's not hyper local, and it doesn't look like it's the people that you're trying to reach, it's not going to be as effective. Now, it can still be effective, but maybe not as effective. And so it's the content here of what I want to say, Phil, for you, for your landing page, but to be thinking through what you do. So on this one, this is an example. This whole thing is from Share the Story, which is one of several media groups out there that I get to do stuff with. I appreciate what they're doing so much. And so on our site, it's a Creation to Christ video series. All right, and so then if you wanted to say, all right, well, what about the fall? When you click on that, here's one ad idea. All right, so here's a headline, here's the copy that you could use, and then here's an image that you could use. Or there are trailers, we just don't have them on the site here, that do a portion of the video. So they would click watch more, and then it would take them to a page where the whole video is. And it's really good looking videos. The quality on them is so good. And so this one is using English in the subtitles, but the language is in Arabic. And then we're using a little bit of a devotional thing. So this is something for us that we're doing a lot more of. 2 parts, Phil. We're doing a devotional, kind of telling them what to think about as they've watched the video, kind of just a brief summary or an addition to that, not long, because most people are going to watch on a mobile phone, so it needs to be short, but some sort of devotional thought. And then we're also putting links on there so that they can watch other videos. You already have them on your site. They've already clicked on the Google ad or the Facebook ad. Why would we want to wait and send them another ad at another point? We already have them on the site. And so I would encourage you to use series. Think about the word that I'm using a lot is a journey. So each ad campaign, each set of an ad, and that campaign it's in, may be a part of a bigger journey that's based upon themes, topics. All right? And so when you think about these journeys, that's where you're thinking about the steps here. All right? And so our call to action is very specific. Would you like someone to pray with or for you? If they click on it, it opens then the instant messenger. Would you like to know more about Jesus? Would you like to read more or to watch more? And then I also always try to put something from the Bible itself on the page. Let me show you some other examples here. This is one that's animated from GMPI, and it's actually, you can find it, go to our site, or you can go straight to theglobalgospel.media, and there are themes and there are landing pages. So let's say security or peace is one of your ones. Well, then once again, here's an ad idea. Here is a little bit of copy, okay, that they could see. And then here's a video. Once again, a small little devotional on the page. And on this one, we're trying to ask them a question. In what areas are you facing trouble and uncertainty? And so the use of questions can be really powerful, because you can't tell someone what to think, but you can tell them what to think about by the use of questions. Okay? So when you use these well in your copy or on your page, that's where you may find you get more messages. All right, on this one, we're giving some examples here, but still, these buttons are here. I will also tell you that if you're designing this, you may want the buttons to also be up right underneath the video. Because if they're watching it on a mobile phone, you don't want to bury the buttons where you want them to do something. All right, and so you can duplicate that. Have it right under the video or right at the bottom. Here's one more example. This is one that we're using a lot with the Jesus Film and Crew teams, which we have a partnership with, and they have some great technology. I love using it. I love the team building it. In fact, there's some really, really neat things that are coming on this, and these all can be embedded on your own website, right, and be able to use those. But so on this one's just about prayer. What's interesting as you look at the page here, it has a little devotional, it has some scripture, right? But then when you start to click on it, now all of a sudden these buttons pop up. And still the same messages. Message us, get a Bible, watch more. Okay? What I also like about this one is as you watch the whole video and you get to the end, then questions are popping up right on the screen. Did you like what Jesus taught about prayer? Yeah, I did. Super. There's so much more. What do you want to do now? And then these questions pop up here. You could do this through their technology. There's some other things that are out there, but the thing that we're finding is that when people use these, when there are questions involved, then people respond better. All right, and so in fact, we've seen almost a 50% higher response rate when we've used questions in one way or another. And so I really love to use them. If you're interested in this next steps, which is what they call it in this software, reach out to us. And we're going to be making some announcements about that. Literally, the contract is just with legal, but as soon as it's inked, I'll be able to talk about, basically, they're going to be providing a lot of resources financially to help teams who are hiring and partnering with Kavanaugh Media for us to help run ads and to be able to use this technology. And I can't wait to tell you more about that. But that's for another one. So Phil, hopefully that helps you, all right? And you can get some better ideas. Think about what would make somebody want to actually message you. That's why I like using prayer ads, because it's an easy ask. It's a reason why they would do that. Be careful when you're doing these, that in your ad itself, you're not trying to clickbait of comment here or something like that, or give us the thumbs up or whatever. Okay, that's clickbait, and that's going to get you into some trouble. All right, another question. We really need help with our top of the funnel. How can we use the right audience? How can we move comments and clicks to become a Christian? I think they're asking, how can we move people from just commenting and clicking to become a Christian? Well, it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking on that. Let's jump into that one, and then I want to show you a couple more examples, and then I want to give you just an overview of all of what we've gone through today. So for all of you who've gone through that, then the last about 10 minutes here are just going to be doing that material. Here's what I want to show you on the Facebook side when you start talking about your audience and your top of funnel. All right, so this was creating an instant experience. When you create a custom audience, you can create when you create an instant experience, you can create a custom audience from that. So I just showed you how to maybe play with using an instant experience. Well, that's one audience you can do. And you can say people who opened this instant experience, people who clicked any of the links in the instant experience. So if you have a Bible download or send us a message, you can build an audience just of people who have sent you a message on Facebook Messenger. And so this one might be the clicked to download or whatever, but this is neat because people who opened it, but maybe they didn't do something. Now you can retarget them. All right, and this is where you can include and exclude, and then you would name your audiences. Here's what I want to show you. If you're struggling with your audiences, with your top of your funnel, it may be that you're trying to reach too many people or that your targeting is off. And when you're in your Facebook business ad account, you can look at your audiences and you can make some analysis of them. All right, so this is some ones here. Let's look at the number, the size of the audience. So if we were trying to do an ad specifically to women in this age group, I would make sure that the video, the creative, okay, your picture, your video, your landing pages, all represent your target persona that you're trying to reach. This is why you can use tools like Google Optimize, where you could have your website could have two different pictures on it. Or you could copy the landing page, and one of them would have pictures of women reading the Bible. Maybe the other page might be men reading the Bible. And depending on which ad you're using would drive them to that page. It would be very similar in content, it's just the pictures might be different. But this audience then, right here, is 150 million people. Okay, you don't have the money probably to reach that. So we need to get that audience size down. So if you're struggling with the top of the funnel, it may be that your audience is too broad, too big, not focused enough. All right, and so what's the sweet spot? Well, I mean, if I can reach these numbers, I love about 500,000 people to no more than 2 million, depending upon how much money you want to spend and how long you're willing to run it. If I have 150 million people, I could run one ad for a year and it wouldn't hit a frequency of 2 or 3 probably. Right? So just to give you some ideas, it's not just how much money, it's how long, and then the size of that audience. So that's part of what I want you to see. Another part of this is that there may be overlap. And so now you're all of a sudden you're bidding against yourself on these. Well, how can you tell? Well, let's pick Egyptian women. And then let's go down here to this one right here of 150,000. All right, and let's see how much. When I click on these, now all of a sudden, there's options that show up here. And if you click on these 3 dots, show audience overlap. And so when you click on that, now all of a sudden, it's going to show you if there's any overlap of the people. And it's saying there is. Percentage of overlap of selected audience from the Egyptian women one to this all Arab countries is 84%. So if you run an ad to both of these audiences, it may be the same ad and you're showing it twice. There's an overlap of the people that you're showing it to. And so you need to really make sure that you have dialed down your audience. Here's the thing, here's the key thing that I want you all to understand with this, is that it's when you're starting out, it's, to me at least, more important that you start with the audience part, okay? Figuring out your audience and then work on your messaging. Because if you have the right message but you're sending it to the wrong people, you may think, well, nobody's interested, but you're sending the wrong thing to them. So start with your audience, get some benchmarks, put out some general ones. That's, once again, why I almost always start with prayer or something really specific. Maybe it is Easter, if that's a time that they recognize, or with Ramadan right now, or Christmas time or something, these big rocks of content, because I kind of know that they're going to work to a degree. And by working, I mean we're going to get some views, we're going to get some reach with it. With prayer ones, we may even get some messages of prayer requests, which helps train our responders to be able to do that. But when I'm starting with those, I think the content's pretty good, but I need to figure out my audience. That's what we're doing here, is we're trying to figure out who are these people and then put the right message in front of them. Let me give you a little bit more training here about that as we finish up our time together today. All right, and thanks for all of you who are sticking on here and watching. I appreciate it. Here's the reality. It's a crowded pond. Right? There's a ton of advertisers. You all know that. I read someplace a while back that, it's something like 16,000 ads and messages that we're being bombarded with all day long, from radio, TV, you name it, social media, billboards, whatever. So how do we get this message out in front of these people? How do we get the right message to them to be able to see that, to be able to really have an idea of, okay, I see the audience, I've got a good idea of them. Well, there's a lot of different ways we can do it, but for those of you watching the show, a lot of times you're trying to figure out, how do we get people to watch a video? How do we get people to watch a whole series, a Creation to Christ series, or to read the Bible, or maybe it's an article from Got Questions, or ultimately to message you. That needs to be the end one, okay? It's like cracked sugar Turkish delight type of candy. Those are awesome, but that can't be just the bread and butter, the core parts of what we do. We need to have consistent content going out to them. So what objectives should you look at? Well, here's a few of them that when you begin to create the ad will be shown to you. And these ones with the black X, this is my opinion, as this whole show is. It's just my view, and I could be wrong, okay? But I don't ever use brand awareness. Unless you have an app, you'll never use that one. You probably don't have store traffic or catalog sales, but the brand awareness, even though I'm going to talk about awareness, knowing, that's not necessarily one that I would recommend, because so much of that is just estimates from Facebook. Reach is so that as many as people as possible can see the ad. Traffic is to your website. Engagement are those likes and shares. Don't get caught up on that one either. Okay, that's not unnecessarily a great one, but sometimes you may use it. Video views, as we've already talked about, are good. Messages are good. Conversions are great, but you have to have enough data before you start running those. And those are when somebody does something specific, like download a Bible. So first thing, with your audience and with your messaging, okay, so this goes to all of you who have sent those messages in, as well as those of you watching today. You need to know your metrics, know your audience, build out benchmarks, start running some of these ads, maybe on prayer or whatever. Go to our site, download some of those. We're working right now. In fact, at Kavanaugh Media, we just hired 2 new people to help us with this, to create a bunch of new journeys and ad journeys for our partners and clients. But you need to know, what are your benchmarks? What does it cost you? What can you expect? So that you can know if an ad is doing better or worse than what is normal. Well, you have to establish what is normal, both for your messaging and for your link clicks. And then I would encourage you as well on your video views. But once you know your metrics, you need to think about what message to them. All right? What message are we trying to show them? And there's 3 different types. I know I'm not showing you the whole screen here. That's okay. So there's 3 different parts that we're trying to target, 3 different types of ads. And those of you who have seen some of my other training, you've applied this in the idea of retargeting, which is great, but it may not work as well now because of the ways the pixels are being blocked. But the content and the message, the purpose behind your messages, your ads, those aren't changing. So people need to be aware. They need to know that there are other people out there searching, that they are not alone. So this is traffic objective, video views on Google Ads. This is where search comes into it. And you need to have a consistent presence at that, because it's going to take a lot of touches. It's going to take that 6 months. It's going to take a year. It's going to take 20 or more ads before you may start seeing some results. But then there's also ads based upon certain longings or pain points, or what I like to talk about is the Holy Spirit fruit, the positives, okay, that people, of what it looks like when the Spirit's working in your life. Those are like ads. And yes, you can retarget, but you could also do traffic and video views on these as well. All right, and so this is a more focused, say, peace or prayer or hope. Okay, it's those kind of content, once again, still lifting up Jesus and things from the Bible. Finally, people will learn to trust you all enough or be motivated enough to maybe send that private message or make a comment to them. Right? And if they make a comment, we want to move them over to a private message there. So the purpose of an ad is to catch their attention, get them to consider it, have a conversation with an online person, and then hopefully face-to-face where true conversion can take place. But there's 3 parts to people. There are your hands, trying to get them to click or to do something. There's the head, you're trying to get them to think about something. And there's the heart. You want them to begin to feel, to have the emotional connection to that too. So we need orthodoxy. We need the right teaching. Right? We need orthopraxy. We need the right actions, but we need the cardi part of it, the right heart to it as well. Because what I'm seeing is that the belonging and the bonding precedes believing of people who are coming through media. So of those 4 C's, we want to catch their attention. That's the ad. We're not trying to convert them in the ad, but we do want to ask a question. That's that consideration. We want to put a pebble, in essence, in their shoe. Just that little thing. We have such peace in our life. We've discovered such hope in our life. Is that something you're looking for? Have you discovered that? Now they're thinking about peace or hope. And then we try to get the conversation. This is where the moderators come in to curate, to guide them, to plant the DNA of a movement. This is so important. You need to, from the very beginning, to be thinking about finding the disciples who are making disciples, to be looking for those people who are potential people of peace, that you're already thinking about having elders and having leaders, that movement people in your ads and in your conversations with them. And so part of the way we do that, as we talk about Jedi marketing. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and so in fact, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have a lightsaber in my office, but there's this idea of pushing and of pulling. If you push people, you're going to pull. They're going to push back. So we're not trying to be aggressive here. We're not trying to argue with them. We're not trying to be Bible answer people. We're not trying to chase. We want to be chased. We want to pull people in. That's where this know, like, and trust can help. We want to talk about pain points, both internal and external. This is where when you begin to talk about, I've found such hope. I didn't know there was such a thing. Is that something you're searching for? I used to think there couldn't be. I used to think that there was no way that I could have real hope in my life until someone introduced me to Jesus. And so you begin to talk about, both on the landing page and a little bit in the ad, and especially if you're using a testimony video, it's a great place. I love testimony videos to bring in this part to that. So this is where both internal and external are coming into it. This is where having empathy, these pain points of forgiveness, love, acceptance, significance, and security, all of those things, that's where this helps. Right? And so that's where you want to bring into this training that you're doing with the people, with your ads, that you're literally walking with them to it. So we're not trying to manipulate people. We're trying to match Jesus to what people are, where they're at in their lives. This is that cognitive dissonance. This is that pebble in their shoe by asking those questions. In essence, we're trying to how to find peace without what they're trying to avoid, so they can have, and then this is where it's, I wake up each day with a new sense of purpose. My relationships are better. Whatever the benefit of those things. So a simple, easy, actionable steps is what you're trying to give to people. And the ad is just the hook. All right, this is where the conversation, this is where the Bible verses, where people can discover more, where they begin to share that, and where they're obeying what they're seeing from Scripture, even before maybe they are a believer themselves. It's really important for you to be consistent. Okay, so get the consistency, have a plan, be putting things out there. I would always encourage you, be running at least one paid ad, right? And if you do that, it will actually increase your organic reach. So the content you put on your Facebook page that you're not putting money behind will get more people who see that. All right, remember, this is going to take a lot of touches. So be consistent, have the long view, and then put your content in the right place. That's why we were talking about the longer videos. All right, don't put a YouTube link if you're using YouTube on Facebook. Upload it to Facebook or put more on your website. And then be very careful about character limits as you're doing this. All right, here's an example. If you click on this, it says, if you click on this link, you will get a lot of money, fame, salvation, and more. But you must do this one thing first. You have to, and now here's the break that takes place. Well, if they were to click on the see more, it would say, but first you have to send me $1,000 first, and I'll show you how. All right, well, that's kind of important there. That was buried behind the see more part of it. All right, and so you got to be careful on the length. The ads are mobile. Think mobile first. Keep it short. You can put more content, longer videos, more training, more downloads all on your website. But even there, I would encourage you to break it up into separate pages. All right? And one other thing to finish up our time together today is to make sure you're moderating with your ads. Right? Make sure that if it's a person and they're hostile and they're angry, it means they're not searching. So go ahead, hide the comment, then delete it, and ban the person from the page. You're not banning them from the Holy Spirit. That's okay. You're just banning them from your page. That way they don't keep seeing your ads. That's going to protect you and keep your page being able to do what it's doing for longer. So if somebody sends a comment to you, you want to, as you're talking to them, encourage them. If you'd like to talk more about this or whatever it is, encourage them to send you a private message. All right? And so that's a key thing there that we're looking and we're trying to do, is to make sure the ads aren't trying to do too much. All right. Long training. I warned you in advance of that. Thanks for sticking around. There's been several of you on here today. Thank you for those of you who are going to the website. You can see all of these live trainings by just going to our Kavanaugh Media, to our training course. You do have to sign up there. That way I can protect them a little bit. I am not doing anything with your sign-up stuff. So please just be honest. Tell me who it is so we know who's watching these or doing it. I would love for you to be listening to the podcast as well. Over 4,000 people now listening to it. We're almost to 4,200, 75 different countries. I'm just blown away by this. I'm thankful to be a part of it, to partner with you. That's why on that podcast, it's always about 15 minutes long. We do interviews and really focused one types of training. Comes out every Friday morning, 1:15 in the morning. So if you're in Europe drinking your cup of coffee or espresso, you can listen and be a part of that and also have your coffee there. All right. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to it. Please, if there's other people that could benefit from it, tell them about it. And as always, if we can help you, please reach out. We are here to serve you. You are our heroes, and we want to support you and do whatever we can to make Jesus famous. So thanks for watching the show. We'll see you next week, Lord willing. Take care, and God bless.